Good morning. I don't think I've ever done a video about what I'm going to talk about. I usually do videos on rescuing dogs. Here's one of my rescue dogs, little wheelchair Cuddles. We're out romping around here. Lots of people have been talking about the rapture. Lots of people having dreams, encounters with the Lord. And honestly, I have not up until now. I had the Lord talk to me about that. I've been saved since I was 11. I've encountered the Lord many, many times. Within this last year, I have had a revelation of God's love and who He is, and encountering the Lord as never before. I've went to churches for years. I've been very unhappy. They did not have what I wanted. For 40 years. And I heard the Lord speak to me one evening. He told me Isaiah 41, I can't remember the verse, but it says, I've chosen you, I've not forsaken you. And I just began to wait on the Lord and just wait for Him and His presence, and not to have any agenda to get anything out of Him except for to know Him and to love Him. And man, the encounters I've had with the Lord are overwhelming. Many of them are almost more than my flesh can handle. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to melt in His presence and things like that. So anyways, I've noticed a lot of people are posting rapture things. All my life, I've kind of stayed away from that because my dad preached that and kept telling us that there was no reason to go on, no reason to, work, and no reason to get an education and things like that, because Jesus was coming back any day. And of course, it didn't happen for many, many, many years. And so I always believed that, just like Daniel says and Matthew says, that when the abominable thing will be standing in the holy place, then you'll know the return of Christ is near. So I'm like, that hasn't happened yet, so it's not going to happen. I'm going to video my dog instead of me. She's much lovelier. I just crawled out of bed and took them for a walk, so trust me, she's prettier than I am. Come here, Cuddles. Anyways, in this last year, I would say 2 or 3 times at least, I have been woken up and heard the audible voice of the Lord roaring. It sounds like a lion. And I mean, it shakes me. It's so loud. And I can hear Him calling His children to come home. He's like, children, come home. From the east to the west, to the north to the south, children, come home. And my daughter had a rapture dream where the Lord had a large, shofar, but it was into the center of the earth, and He was getting ready to blow it. And when she told me that dream, she just cried and cried. You can tell she encountered the Lord, and He told her that she was going in the rapture, because in her dreams she always misses it. I've never had rapture dreams. I've never had the Lord talk to me much about the rapture. In fact, I don't know if ever He's talked to me. But August 2nd, I got a better video of Cuddles here. August 2nd, 2025. I woke up at 11 o'clock, was having trouble sleeping, went back to sleep. I pray to the Lord constantly. I commune with the Lord constantly, and He communes with me. And instantly I was taken into a dream, but I know it was more than a dream. I was suddenly in a place that was getting dark. It was starting to get dark out. And I was standing in front of this massive pile of huge rocks, dark black rocks. And I began to hear these voices like in another language. And in my head, I thought, that sounds like Chinese, but I don't know. And I began to hear this really quiet moan, just very quietly. And I thought, what is that? Is that a man moaning? And I kept hearing it, but it began to get louder and louder. And I began to look into the rocks, and I suddenly knew that it was the center of the earth. It was the earth wailing and moaning. And it began to get, I got the glory of God. I'm going to cry. Sorry. Sorry, I'm like, man, the presence of the Lord is heavy on me. And the groaning began to get louder and louder, and it was deafening. It began to just groan and moan, but it was like so loud. And suddenly a roaring came from heaven, and it was like if you put the sound of thunder, a waterfall, and a lion roaring. It roared so loud, like it was almost more, I felt like I was going to die in that presence of the Lord as I felt him come. And he talked so loud and so low that I had to strain and really, really concentrate to hear him. He began to talk how the time was close, that he was returning soon, and that he was going to judge the earth, and that it was going to be the end of the earth. He was coming to judge the world. And he told me I had to remember the dream, and I was so worried I wasn't going to remember the dream. I began to cry. I began to weep and cry because I said, Lord, help me to remember this, because it's almost overwhelming. I don't know if my flesh can remember this. And I suddenly went into another dream where I was a little girl laying beside my sister in bed, and I kept trying to wake myself up, and I couldn't, and I was crying and crying, and I kept whispering to my sister, please help me wake up, and she shook me and woke me. Well, when I sat up out of bed, it was 3:16. It said 3:16 on my alarm clock, and I immediately began to journal my dream. When I got done journaling it, I looked at the time on the journal, and it was 11:21, and I was like, what? I looked back at the alarm clock, and it was a different time. But the Lord brought to my mind John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And I tell you, that clock said 3:16 when I looked at it the first time, just clear as day. But it was not their correct time. It was like 11:21 when I began to journal. So like the alarm clock was like 11:30 when I got done. A big truck coming by here, hang on. Oh my goodness, the joys of living in town. But I just want to say, I'm going to try to say this without crying, that the bride, we have to be holy and pure and spotless for him to return. He's not coming back for a dirty, filthy, blemished bride. We have to walk in purity and holiness, without spot or wrinkle. We have to walk. A bride is in love with their groom. A bride is madly in love with their groom. We have to be madly in love with Jesus, madly in love with him more than our children, more than our lives, more than our spouses, more than our friends. We have to be completely sold out, completely in love with him. And we have to have relationship with him. Deep, deep relationship with him. And that's where my walk is. It's so very precious. So very, very precious. I'm tired of religion. I'm tired of dead religion. I think the world is tired of dead religion and dead gods. And I've never encountered the Lord like this. It's so precious. I mean, when his presence comes, it's more beautiful than anything I've ever experienced in my life. It's more precious than anything I've ever experienced in my life. And just communion with him and friendship with him. Like, he's a holy God. He's a jealous God. He's a jealous husband. He's holy. I just pray, his bride hears his voice and seeks him as never before. So anyways, I felt like I had to share that. I am quite introverted, and here's another baby. I prefer being home alone with Jesus, but I will share this because the Lord told me as well. He told me that I needed to go tell people that he was returning soon. And I'm like, Lord, I'm very introverted. I'm better with dogs, but I will post this and share it when I can. So remember, prepare for the groom. All right. God bless you.